This is a really quick tutorial on decimals. Decimals are something you see all the time, and you've learned about this last year or the year before, and it's not a new thing. This is just a bit of review. I'm just going to show you some decimals here and make sure you understand a really key, important, really important thing about decimals. They're actually fractions. That's it. That's the secret. Decimals are actually fractions. They're just written in a very convenient way. And so here we have some decimals. This one looks kind of familiar. It looks like 1 cent. Our money is based on decimals. We use that extensively. You may have seen some of these other ones in various forms before. Decimals are always just fractions. It seems like it's something different than a fraction, but it's really not. It's just a fraction with a denominator of a power of 10. And that makes them really useful. Very easy to compare. It's not easy to compare other kinds of fractions, but decimals, super easy. So I'm going to show you what fraction version looked like. So here we have the decimal 0.6. This is equal to 6/10. Here we have 0.01, and that's equal to 1/100. Here we have 0.19, and that's equivalent to 19/100. And here we have 0.0003, and that's equal to 3,000ths. And here we have 0.023, and that's equal to 23,000ths. And at the end here, we're talking about a fraction with a 10,000 in the denominator, 4,715 10,000ths. So you can convert any decimal into a fraction. The denominator, that's the bottom number, is always going to be a power of 10. And to understand how to do this, you have to understand place value. When we talk about place value, it's really important to remember this, that you have, when we're talking about place value, you have a whole number, in this case it's 0, and any numbers after that are parts of a whole number. So here I'm going to write out 0.123. Now you need to understand that this is tenths, okay? So here we have tenths, and then here we have hundredths, and then when you get to the third place after the decimal, then you're talking thousandths. So this can be read as 0, and the decimal point is read as and, 1/10, 2/100ths, 3,000ths. But that can also be read as 123,000ths. So this is very meaningful in that this doesn't mean 0.123, it means 123,000ths. This becomes super important when you're comparing decimals and also converting and comparing fractions as well. We'll talk about that in a second. When we compare decimals, we need to understand that you have to look at place value. Which is bigger, 2.3 or 2.51? Initially you might say, how can I compare them? They don't have the same number of digits. It seems like 51 is greater than 3, so I'm going to go ahead and say 2.51 is greater than 2.3. And that's true. But what gets confusing is you get something like this, and over here you get something like this, and then you get confused. You go, wait a minute, so this 21 is greater than 3, right? No, this is a very important thing to understand, is that you have to compare them as fractions. This is 2 and 21/100ths. This is 2 and 3/10ths. To make this comparison, I have to realize that if I simply add a 0 here, it doesn't change the number. 2.3 and 2.30 is the same, but it changes the fraction into an equivalent fraction that I can now compare. Which is larger, 2.3 or 2.21? 2 and 30/100ths or 2 and 21/100ths? Clearly, 2 and 30/100ths.